Hello and welcome to the daily newscast within the United Countries special by First Ukraine. You can find us on the frequencies available on our website firstua.com. I'm Olga Tkachenko and thank you for joining us. Today, Ukrainian Parliament started work, but with conflicts and blocking of Speaker's seat. Members gathered at special session to review a draft law in its first reading on constitutional amendments towards decentralization of power. Deputies from Oleg Lyashko's Radical Party tried to resist voting by blocking the tribune. Their leader tried to explain the situation.
We are now blocking the Presidium of the Parliament. Our coalition leagues have tried to persuade us to stop doing it. Now we will talk on this issue at fraction. The money wasn't offered to us for voting. It is excluded. However, there are intimidations. Some criminal cases have been opened and criminal proceedings are being held, but money wasn't offered.
And representatives of Selfhelp were also standing against voting for the draft law, but 5 deputies from the faction supported it. According to the chairman of the Selfhelp parliamentary faction, Oleg Berezyuk, on yesterday's inner meeting was made well-consolidated decision to vote against the amendments, and he emphasized that according to the regulation about the factions, the latter has a right to impose punishment for those deputies who violated its common decision.
Yesterday, our position was clearly expressed at fraction. We didn't find any arguments in the explanation of the creators of the amendments to the Constitution, so that we could support them. Saying about such important issues, they should be voting according to the fraction decision. Otherwise, the fraction has the right to punish such MPs either with warning or with special commission or investigation or with the exclusion.
And on receipt of the latest news from the Selfhelp website, those 5 deputies were excluded from the faction on its inner meeting right after the parliamentary session. Chairman of the Verkhovna Rada, despite the interference and loud shame chanting, tried to overpersuade colleagues by putting emphasis on benefits of the draft law. Also, presidential representative to parliament Stepan Kubiv claimed that within draft law there are no recognition or any empowerment for the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics.
That are the European changes. For the first time, the changes to the Constitution have been approved by the Venetian Commission, that is the most authoritative institution. But we saw there are lots of nonsense. Nowadays, a lot of lies have been used in order to stop the process of decentralization of power in Ukraine. I understand that the oligarchs and officials are not interested in it.
There are no special status for DNR and LNR at the project of amendments. The following is written there. The specifics of execution of the local self-government, I underline the local self-government, in separate districts of Luhansk and Donetsk regions are determined by the other law. According to the proposed changes, Kyiv will be the only city with special status.
All in all, despite the troubled start, the voting procedure took place, and with the support of 265 votes, the draft law on constitutional amendments toward decentralization was approved in its first reading. And Mayor of Lviv, Andriy Sadovy, came to General Prosecutor's office for examination. He was called to witness about the attempts of bribery of the deputies. Earlier, Sadovy himself claimed that before today voting in the parliament, his fellow party members from Selfhelp got offers in money and appointments. According to him, it considers 5 members of the party, but he didn't name them.
We are talking about the pressure, the huge pressure, and that was the issue we'll discuss with the investigator. We'll try to deal with it because the invitation was sent through the net, but I don't know who I'm going to speak with. I'll have the conversation and then I'll give you more detailed information.
Meanwhile, on the Verkhovna Rada, activists from few political parties are holding a meeting. From the morning, they have been demanding not to support the constitutional amendments. The parliamentary building and territory of the government quarter are under increased security of militia. After the end of the voting procedure, when Parliament adopted amendments, protesters initiated fights, which were accompanied with shots and grenade explosion. According to the Minister of Internal Affairs, Arsen Avakov, there are 1 soldier of National Guard died and almost 100 wounded people. Among them, there are journalists. That is what is known by now, but more details we will get for tomorrow. And And news from the ATO zone. According to the General Staff spokesperson Vladislav Seleznyov, the tension in Donbass is decreasing. For today, 4 shell fires were observed. It went without casualties. From the ATO headquarters was added that terrorists didn't fire with prohibited weapons, which caliber is more than 100 millimeters. Most of provocations were observed in the next direction, in the areas of Pisky and Butivka mine.
After midnight on the 31st of August, the terrorists shelled our positions in Krymsky, located in Lugansk region, with small arms. Nearly at 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. they opened fire with grenade launchers, heavy machine guns and small arms on the key points of ATO forces in Mariinka.
For the last day, there were no casualties and 1 soldier was wounded near Shastya in Lugansk region. About that reported Presidential Administration spokesman for ATO-related issues Andriy Lysenko. Although, according to him, terrorists are planning provocations before the start of school year on 1st of September.
Armed gang of the DNR developed a plan of provocation realization on the 1st of September. It is said about the cynic crime, shelling of schools and other educational institutions of the region when the ATO forces will be dishonestly accused. Enemies plan to use this provocation as a reason to turn to the Russian Federation with requests of official and open feeding of such-called peaceful troops. We call everybody to be attentive, especially residents of the East.
Krasnogorovka is one of the cities in the Donetsk region which are under Ukrainian control. More than a year it was won back from the occupants, but still there is no water in the city and the explosions are heard. In the city there are no possibilities to hold elections or get children off to school, but people do not leave their houses. How does the frontline city lives now? In our following story.
Krasnogorovka settlement in the Donetsk region. This year, some of the local children won't go to school on the 1st of September because the schools have been destroyed, the Ukrainian soldiers say. The terrorists have ruined it to its foundation when trying to shoot the Ukrainian soldiers. There are lots of informants, they told that we were deployed in the school or our telephones were wiretapped, but they didn't know in which school. That's why they shelled exactly the school. They wanted to catch us by surprise, but we have already been on positions. The terrorists continue to shell the residential districts of Krasnogorovka. There is a video called Night Confrontation in Staromykhailivka, dated on the 1st of the month, when they showed clearly how they shelled that building. They called it the object, but they definitely knew that people lived there. On the outskirts of the city, the positions of the Ukrainian army are also under the constant fire. Let's come into the dugout. The soldiers of the 28th Separate Brigade show that it was flying in from the confrontation line. What is that? We don't know. Maybe it is an anti-tank guided missile rocket.
Реактивный управляемый снаряд.
От ДШК. ДШК, утес.
The ATO soldiers say despite the constant violations of the Minsk agreements by the terrorists, it's forbidden to open fire in response. Yesterday night, 4 men were noticed digging the trenches, but because of the Minsk agreement, we even cannot frighten them, so that they should move away and shouldn't dig. To open fire prohibited. The Krasnogorovka citizens say that they have already got used to the explosions and shelling, but they don't lose hope that eventually they will live normal life. Since the beginning of the war, there is no water and heating. The food was prepared on fire. How long do you think it will last? Well, I think till the end of Putin's regime. Volodymyr Karban, Olga Tkachenko, First Ukraine.
2,500 soldiers from 11 countries. Military exercises Sea Breeze started on the Black Sea. They are held usually on the Odessa and Mykolaiv regions' territory from 1997. About 100 Ukrainian soldiers will train there. Approximately the same number of soldiers will be from the USA Army. They will train coordination on water and in air, common search and rescue actions and tactical moves. They plan to involve more than 1,500 military equipment items, especially ships, submarine vessels, planes and helicopters. Military exercises will last till the 12th of September. Activists of the Odessa Automaidan occupied the reception house of the International Humanitarian University. It is also popularly called Harry Potter's Castle. The house is located by the sea in Odessa. According to the documents, it is one of the campus buildings of the university. It is not registered on the ex-member of the Party of Regions Sergei Kivalov, but activists who entered it have found many of his personal stuff. The activist of Automaidan, Mark Gordienko, wrote on his page in Facebook that he expected to see there a conference hall, but saw precious chess, Kivalov's portraits and expensive books. There is a tennis court near the house. Activists say that they have broken the fence because they wanted to provide unhindered way to the sea. The press service of the Ministry of Internal Affairs informed that the criminal case wasn't initiated. Colorful run in Ivano-Frankivsk. While participants were covering the distance, they were dusted with multicolored powder. Such event Frankivsk residents are holding for the second time. Our journalists were watching the coloring of the yesterday's run.
Firstly, before the run, there is a warm-up. Then the participants show the performance. They throw yellow and blue inks in air on the main square of the city. 1,500 of members of the race ran 3-kilometer distance on the central streets of the city with such appearance. For those who ran, it is a combination of useful with good. On the one hand, it is sport, and on the other, it is very funny to dust each other with inks. We want to turn attention to sport. It means not only to running, but to each kind of sport. The most important is not to sit on the sofa and surf the internet, but to come out and to communicate. Because it is sport and popular and useful, it is just interesting to spend time with friends, but not to drink somewhere beer. During the race, participants are additionally dusted with inks. It was to make the run funnier. It raised my mood, and I'm very happy that it raised the mood of others. Not only to those who run, but also to those who watch it and make video of this event. It inspires. We show people that running can be fun. It is not complicated, it is not commonness. It means that we can lead a healthy way of life and to spend time well and funny. Organizers say that they take the idea of sportsmen from the capital. Then they will prepare to the bigger event, Frankivsk Semi-Marathon. It is planned on October and won't be colorful. There will be more than 2,000 participants, and they will run longer distance, 21 kilometers. Ilarion Ivanenko, Sergei Popovich, Oksana Parhomenko, First Ukraine.
It was the United Country Newscast by First Ukraine. You can find more details at our website, firstua.com. Olga Tkachenko was working for you in the studio. We wish you only good news. Take care and goodbye.